T-Fit here with Fit Bully TV. Look, we just had an amazing call, and I don't use the word amazing a lot, but Ruben does a very good job of breaking things down. And I mean, when I say a good job, it's beyond good because it gets super detailed, so it could be overwhelming. Objectively, he breaks down Addict, A, D, E, and K, the vitamins that your dog needs. We go into a little bit about when to do a TCI, AI, and surgical, and then I break down some foods and some proteins. Look, over the next 63 days, especially from when we do the breedings with the females, oh man, we're going to be walking you through some stuff that we do daily. Now, you're going to go to my dog tools for in-depth detailed breakdowns of nutritionally what we're doing for the dogs and how it all works, and things to be mindful of: water soluble vitamins versus fat soluble vitamins, how they impact puppy development, puppy growth, or even the absorption of puppies. So a lot that goes into this. So listen to what Ruben says. Take some notes. This is free information. I'm not calling the game. I appreciate everybody saying, hey, you give out a lot of free game. I can't breed every dog. I don't have the time, nor the energy, or the passion. What I do have is an interest in ensuring that dogs are healthy as can be, and that you are successful in whatever way that looks. And I don't even have to be responsible for your success. It's imperative that you know how to at least walk down the road of success and in taking care of your dog. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, share. Please take notes on everything you hear Ruben say, and as always, just take care of your dogs. Check this out. What are, I want to really make sure we try to get Maya pregnant, and I know that the vitamins, what is it? A, B, C, D, E, and K?
A, D, E, and K. That's all it is.
Hold on. A, D, E, and K?
Yes. Like if you're spelling addict. A, D, E, K.
A, D,
E, K.
Okay. And what are the benefits of making sure that the dogs, the females to be clear, get these specific vitamins?
The actual development of the feces. the fetus all have some of the actual absorptions that are going in. For example, like the eggs intercalate with the D's, the E's intercalate with the K's, and the K's are really good for like internal type of organs, more precisely because of the circulatory system, and regarding the other realms of it, is going to affect, where they actually start forming their own little cascades of clotting factors, and K is detrimental in that aspect of it. It's not to say that your dog doesn't have it, but since she's going to actually start to supply all of those little fetuses with it, it's good to have it in an abundance, and make sure that she's absorbing them, all of them, So with in those particular, give me a quick second. I'm going to put this drone away. I was trying to film the freaking, this thing's giving me a signal that it's heating up. Just turn this thing off. Yeah, I wanted to record them as they were demolishing, but I guess they just brought the tractor in. They're not actually demolishing it as we speak. So going back to the actual types of you also got to be make sure that they're getting their what do you call it, their fat soluble vitamins. So in order for absorb, make sure that they're getting their fat supplies,
Yeah.
So for example, and like the other vitamins, they're actually really good because it's really good for them to get their sources, but they're water soluble, so they could be getting them, and they could be urinating those water solubles within the first 30 minutes. But like for example, if you're lacking your vitamin A, you can get deficiencies like defect in the eyes, displaced kidneys, abnormalities of the heart, but you need the fat, because the fat's going to deliver twice the amount of calories to some of those proteins versus and then the carbohydrates is going to facilitate the absorption of the fat soluble vitamins. But you definitely want to get. And then the other confusion is that basically vitamin A, a lot of people think it's just a vitamin that stands by itself. It actually is it's a derivative of keratin. So keratin converts to vitamin A.
Oh, beta carotene. Beta carotene, right?
Yes. Exactly. So a lot of people like vitamin, and then it gets confusing. I get it because a lot of people don't know that carotene is actually what converts to A.
Yeah.
It's in a ratio like about 4-to-1 beta units to 1 of A. So and so it's really good for organ development. Just the vitamin A, really good. Of course, D, your vitamin D is excellent for bone development, and it's for like the enamels of the toes, and it can help with the hyperkeratosis. And you want to have a good balance of that for also to the calcium ratio of your D's. You want to have your D's in a ratio of you can go. I wouldn't go 1-to-1. I don't know the exact numbers, but you got to have a ratio. I would say at least of a 2-to-1 ratio from calcium to the D. And then, but the thing with a lot of people, like we've already talked about this one, is if you don't have any UV, then any UV light, then how the hell is it going to convert? How is that development of vitamin D going to convert? So make sure with the conjunction with your vitamin D, you have a good light source. And then your vitamin E, you really want to be on top of your vitamin E because it actually reduces the oxidative stress, and it's really good for immune system, and it actually works as an antioxidant. And we both know what does an antioxidant do? It prevents the free radicals. And free radicals, if you don't have something that continues to oxidize, you just basically diminish and dilute your genetic material. So vitamin E is extremely, extremely, extremely important.
That's interesting, man. Look, this is gonna be sick, man. I'm gonna go back and review this. So we're recording this so we can put it on our page on the YouTube. And it's always good to get you in these moments because it's not a bunch of annoying comments popping up left and right. But but I'm like, I remember Ruben said these things, and I told you about my stresses with Maya. But even just in general, people asked both of us, I believe, quite a few times, hey, what are some things to focus on? I told a guy, I think I told you the other day about fat soluble, non-fat soluble, and water, water soluble per se. And he said, man, using all the big words. I'm like, my man, it's just it's the way the information's been put together. It's not no big words. It's like it either works or it doesn't. But I think so many people often forget the importance of micronutrients, that like even when you keep repeating the absorption of it, like mind you, if the dog's body is not used to eating quality stuff, then it lacks the ability to absorb a lot of stuff that it needs at times too.
Exactly, and that's what happens a lot of times, that you have all these things, but on top of it, you got to realize that you also need the nutrition aspect of it. It all works. It's a big old cascade of things that are happening. There's a big cascade. And so, for example, like what is this particular study? When they were talking about the oxidative stress, that has actually, this has been in conjunction with a lack of vitamin E can actually result in early termination of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basically by the resorption or abortion. It can either be aborted or it can be reabsorbed, the pups, So that's why a lot of people are like, well, why did my dog, why did she absorb? Why did she, and it's very common. If you really, really analyze it, think hard about it, it's like, why is my dog absorbing her puppies? Because she is lacking the amount of either a particular mineral, a particular vitamin, or just
it sounds like
nutrition. And the body is smart.
Hey.
Body's smart. She's like, I'm not gonna go with this. I'm gonna go in.
It sounds crazy, but it just kind of goes back to, when we talk about glycogenesis or glucogenesis, whoever you're talking to, and the fact that the body breaks down protein, aka one of the most nutrient-dense cells, to supply itself with energy when there is none.
Exactly, So, and just like, and then, it's funny because a lot of people, like, they go into like, well, I just need a B vitamin. Well, B vitamins, it's actually, man, it's a B complex, and it's like, it's almost like 8 vitamins, you got the B1, B2.
All the way up to B12.
B6, B9, B12, and then out of those, they're all important. You got B1 as your riboflavin, your B2 as your niacin, your B3 as your pyroxidine, your B6 as your folic acid, which everyone's like, folic acid, folic acid. It prevents, not heart murmurs, what are they talking about?
The cleft palates.
And, cleft palate. It's
and cleft lips.
And then you got your B9s. And I think, I'm not saying that one is more important than the other, but some of them, you need a lower dose than the other. And for example, the C9, which is basically your cyanocobalamin, that right there, it's you don't realize it's so important with the breakdown of fats, and the protein aids in the function of the nervous system, the muscle tone. And so instead of guessing, hey, getting your B1, B2, B3, just get yourself a B complex, man. Get them all in one.
That's what I figured. Now look, let me make sure I get these numbers right too. So when we do an AI, we like the numbers to be between 10 and about 15, or once it gets over 5.
For artificial, yes, that's according to IDEX. The IDEX numbers, those are ideal numbers. That where a dog should be. But then on top of that, you also want to use some common sense, right? It's like, okay, like how long has she been in estrus, meta-estrus, how long has she been in the estrus cycle? So prior to the estrus cycle, it's called pro-estrus, before. So right when she hits the estrus cycle, say for example, she's at day 11 and she's giving you a 10 or a 12, it's go time. You're catching the very beginning of that cycle. And then from there on out, you've got an additional, counting that day, you've got an additional 48 hours, so altogether 72 hours. Some people claim 96. When I see the science between the 96, I'll start to preach the 96. I haven't seen the actual, the science come out, so I'm not going to jump on the bullhorn and start preaching to the 96 until I see it in the.
I like this. I think the 72.
Like by an actual study behind it.
Yeah, I think the 72 is more reasonable and realistic too. If people don't get it now, the TCI, that's what 20 between 20 and 25 or 28.
Desire, you want to be more like according. Now these are all IDEX reference numbers I'm giving you. So within an IDEX number, so like say your dog's day 13, day 13, maybe even 14, which is still okay to do your artificial, but you're kind of playing with fire. You're at the tail end of it. You're at the tail end of it. So it is recommended that you go with, either a surgical or what's called a TCR or transcervical insemination. Now, the other reason you want to go with a transcervical insemination is that when you get frozen semen or chilled semen, there's a difference between frozen and chilled. So anytime you get frozen, the motility, the mortality rate is increased significantly when it's frozen. When it's chilled, you have a higher increment of semen. But when you're going to go with a transcervical insemination TCI, you do want to be, you can't, here's the other thing, Trevor. A lot of people think that because it's a TCI that you can't do it the same way as if you were doing an artificial. You can. You actually can, And the reason that I encourage people that to do a TCI versus artificial, and by someone that's skilled, not just, is sometimes a lot of people don't understand anatomy or physiology and are just dumping the semen at the vaginal passageway, So a lot of people will stop right at the vaginal passageway, dump the semen there. Oh my God, that semen's got to fucking swim over that little hump to get close to the os or the vestibule, and then start getting into the actual the horns, So if somebody has that is, or even a veterinarian who's not extremely skilled at doing AIs, I would then recommend you might want to start looking into this transcervical insemination, because that word right there, trans-cervix, you're going in between the cervix and the uterus. And once you get to the very the end of it, where the cervix is, you can't see anymore because it gets completely dark. Even with the light on, the camera can't bifurcate itself and divide itself into the two horns. And you don't want to be going into those two horns because the eggs are there. You don't want to be pushing eggs around with this little tiny itty bitty camera,
Yeah.
The ovums. So, so it'll get to one spot. There's a bifurcate, like a fork in the road. One goes to the right, one goes to the left, and that's as far as that camera will go. So when you start to, drop the semen obviously will spill into both sides of the actual horns. So, but even so, like say, if you're getting towards the tail end, now I'm just going to repeat what, certain doctors have said, because I don't have the experience with doing surgicals myself, but there's some doctors that actually go on the ledge and they'll say that they're neck and neck doing a transcervical and doing a surgical, that it's almost the same exact thing.
So what those numbers though? That's like when it's 25 or 28 and up, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to, get your numbers are a little bit higher, and you're kind of get toward your tail end. I would say, your eggs are starting to vanish. Your eggs are getting away. You want to get that semen as close as possible to those eggs, because if you don't, those eggs are just gonna, disintegrate. They're going to be reabsorbed. There's no going to be, they're just going to be flushed away into the system and everything's gone. So if you're at the tail end and you have time, definitely either go for a TCI or, or if it's an extremely, extremely difficult case or you're not very sure. Another thing I recommend, that's definitely, let's just leave it at that. Like, you're at the tail end of your numbers, and you definitely want to go and do with a TCI. Now, another thing where you want to potentially go with the surgical versus a TCI is when you've got some semen that it's just, I'm going to be honest with you, like, there's a surgical this lady did down in Toscadero, and the motility of the semen was 50%. She was shitting bricks. She was all worked up, nervous. Dr. Miner did a surgical. She's coming back with 7 pups.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So I don't know if we would have gotten that same number if we would have done the actual artificial. Why? Because when you're doing artificial, you're not dropping them right. You're not dropping that semen. Every little tiny millimeter, centimeter counts for so much. It doesn't seem like a lot, but for semen to travel even an inch takes it we can't even see it with the naked eye. We have to look at it microscopically. So you got to realize semen takes about 6 hours to mature, and if you can cut 6 hours here and 6 hours there by doing with either a TCI or a surgical, that semen is going to get there 12 hours sooner versus if you did it artificially, or 6 or 12 hours, but 6 hours is a lot of energy and a lot of time spent on that semen swimming. You know what I mean?
So you're saying when you say mature, that means it gets in there, it gets motivated, and then it starts basically puckering up its chest, and it's like, yo, we got work to do, guys.
Fucking dive and go right through that ovum. Once it goes in there, then you get the phases of mitosis, meiosis, anaphase, telophase, where the cells start to split up. Boom. And it's just transcoding all the genetic material. It's getting all the genetic material from mama, mama's already there, but Papa just brought in 50%. He brought his 50 to come and play.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You know what's crazy? Also, side note, is on my YouTube now, it gave me an option where I can go live with people. So, like...
right off the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so like off my phone, I can literally, it says go live together, and it's beta. It says new.
I've seen that little live thing pop up, but I've never. That's probably when I'm just gonna go live with. Let's see, it says go live. Huh. Then there's a new thing. It says go live together.
Yeah, there you go. Look, that's why we got to go live together. So let me know when you got some time, either this evening or tomorrow, and let's try to jump on YouTube and talk a little bit about this stuff. And and I've recorded, like, this whole thing. Marcus is recording everything, and I've taken notes, wrote a bunch of stuff down, and I'm definitely going to do an intro to this, because this is the kind of stuff where I told you we're 1 for 2 on Maya. I like the risk of taking the surgical approach while also doing the AI, but she's a dog where we need to know for a fact either she's going to get pregnant this time or we got to fix her and shut her down, because we've already done the 4 losses, the 2 pups. She didn't really throw herself, and I even used some of that, hey, Ruben You like 5. I think Fred works backwards from 3. Well, you said 5 is too many. That's what we when we talked that one time. We start talking about traits. So when you write down, hey, she has Easty Westy. She's got size, but didn't pass her size. She's not the healthiest dog. She does got breathing issues. She's all recessive.
I just delivered a puppy yesterday, and I was having that same exact conversation. That same exact conversation. It's like, where do you stop? Like, hey, you might as well pick it up and start all over, because the dog I was supposed to bring back from Mexico, it seems like he might be staying after all, but I have an option to get another dog who's very closely related to him. And it's not the dog I wanted, but now that I see this other dog, he's got ticking, meaning like on the white, he's got those little white spots.
Yeah. I got that. That's one breeding I'm excited about. 2 breedings with that dog. Remember Amira? She's got all the ticking.
Oh well, this particular dog has the black face, which I love on a piebald, but he's got the ticking, right? So,
yeah.
Do I throw the baby out with the water? I think I can live with the ticking, So, but in terms of like when I was looking at